Between the 10th and 15th centuries, survival wasn't a hobby. It was life itself. Long before electricity, running water, or grocery stores, medieval people relied on a set of clever survival techniques that kept them alive through famine, war, and brutal winter's techniques that most modern preppers have completely forgotten. From building hidden food caches to preserving meat without salt, their methods were simple, ingenious, and forged by pure necessity. If you enjoy falling asleep to stories like this, a like or subscribe would be awesome. And drop in the comments where you're listening from and what time it is. It's always wild seeing people from Canada to Croatia tuning in to the same story. All right, tonight, we're going back to the Middle Ages to uncover forgotten medieval survival techniques that modern preppers ignore. But first things first, get yourself comfortable. Seriously settle in, dim the lights, and let's step into a world where survival was the only goal.
Your eyes snap open to darkness, and that bone-deep chill that tells you the fire died hours ago. Frost glitters on the inside of your wooden shutters. Your breath hangs visible in the air above you. Not like your heated bedroom right now. No thermostat to bump up a few degrees. No electric blanket to switch on. You're wrapped in a scratchy wool blanket that smells faintly of smoke and sheep. The straw mattress beneath you crackles as you shift. Your joints ache from the cold. Fingers stiff as you pull the blanket tighter. You're going to be late, Elric. Your brother's voice from the darkness. Somehow he always wakes before you do. You groan as you swing your legs over the edge of your sleeping platform. The wooden floor is like ice against your bare feet. The keeper's already heading up the hill, your brother says, already pulling on his worn leather boots. Not today of all days. Hold up, you mumble, your voice thick with sleep. I'm coming. You dress quickly in the dark. Woolen undercloth, rough linen shirt, leather jerkin, thick woolen hose tied at the waist. No time to eat, no time to wash. The keeper waits for no one, not even his new apprentice. You stumble out the door behind your brother into the pre-dawn darkness of the village. The sky holds just enough light to outline the thatched rooftops against the stars. The air smells like wood smoke, damp earth, and the sour tang of the midden heap at the village edge. There he goes, your brother whispers, pointing to a hunched figure moving steadily up the path toward the forest. The old man doesn't use a torch. Doesn't need one. He's walked this path every morning for 40 years. You break into a jog, feet crunching on the frozen ground. Your empty stomach protests. A day of hungry work ahead. Master Wulfik, you call. Voice hushed but urgent. Wait for me. The old man doesn't slow or turn, just keeps his steady pace up the hill. His dark silhouette carries something in each hand. A leather pouch slung over one shoulder. A wooden box tucked under his arm. You catch up, breathing hard, your lungs burning from the cold air. You're late, the old man says simply. No anger in his voice, just fact. Sorry, master. The fire went out and the fire went out, he repeats, cutting you off. And why did that happen? You swallow. Day one as the keeper's apprentice, and you've already failed the most basic test, because I didn't bank it properly before sleeping, H. The old man finally stops, turning to look at you. His face is a maze of wrinkles in the dim light, but his eyes are sharp. And what did that cost you this morning? You're about to say something flippant, but stop yourself. The old man isn't asking about convenience. Warmth, time, energy to restart it. Wood that we could have saved. He nods, satisfied with your answer. Fire is life, boy. Let it die, and a little of you dies with it. So begins your first lesson from the Keeper of Embers. Wait, you're probably thinking, Keeper of Embers? What kind of job is that? Okay, picture this. In a world without matches, without lighters, without even reliable flint and steel for every household, fire wasn't just important, it was everything. And starting a fire from scratch, that could take hours of work. Hours you didn't have when you were freezing, when food needed cooking, when darkness was falling. So medieval people didn't play around with fire, they developed something far more reliable. A system so effective, so ingenious that modern survivalists haven't even figured it out yet. You follow Master Wulfik as he crests the hill, coming to the small stone hut that serves as the keeper's workshop. It's one of the only stone buildings in the village aside from the church. That's how important this place is. First task of every morning, he says, pushing open the heavy wooden door. The smell hits you immediately. A complex mix of herbs, smoke, dried clay, and something earthy you can't quite place. We check the bundles. Inside you can see the faint red glow coming from what looks like dozens of small clay pots arranged on stone shelves, each one about the size of your palm, sealed with wax around wooden plugs. Master Wulfik moves to the nearest shelf and carefully selects one pot. With practiced fingers, he pry out the wooden plug and peers inside. A gentle red glow illuminates his weathered face. Still strong, he murmurs, mostly to himself. He replaces the plug carefully, then marks a small notch in the clay with his thumbnail. You notice now that each pot has a series of notches, some with many, some with few. What are the marks for, you ask? Days, he says simply. This one's been alive for 36 days now. 36 days? You can't hide your disbelief. The fire's been burning in there for over a month. The old man chuckles. Not fire, boy, Ember. And this isn't even close to the record. He points to a larger pot in the corner, treated with obvious reverence. That one'd been smouldering for nearly 2 months. You stare at the innocuous clay pot. How is that possible? Sit, he says, gesturing to a small wooden stool. I'll show you the secret that keeps our village alive through winter. Master Wulfik moves to his work, selecting a hollow reed stem about the thickness of your thumb and length of your forearm. The fire bundle, he explains, is the most valuable thing a traveller can carry. More important than gold, more crucial than weapons. He holds up the reed. Elder works best, though reed will do in a pinch. The secret is in the preparation. You watch as he takes a small ember from one of his pots using a metal tool. The ember glows bright orange in the dim room. First, you need perfect embers. Not too hot, not too cool. He carefully places the ember inside the hollow reed. Then you seal both ends, clay, wax, mud. In an emergency, leave just enough air holes to keep it alive. He demonstrates sealing one end with clay, poking a tiny pinhole in it with a needle, then sealing the other end the same way. Too much air, it burns up in hours. Too little, it suffocates and dies. But get it just right. He holds up the finished bundle, and you have fire that travels with you for days, sometimes weeks. That's what's in all these pots, you ask, looking round the room with new understanding. Different types, different materials, different purposes. He points to various shelves. Those are for travellers heading north, those for the shepherds in the hills, those for the charcoal burners. He smiles slightly. Everyone needs fire, but not everyone can keep it alive. That's our job. But why not just use flint and steel, you ask? Seems simpler than this elaborate system. Master Wulfik's expression darkens. Let me tell you about last winter, he says quietly. 3 weeks of rain, everything soaked through. The Oswald family tried for 2 days to strike a spark that would catch. Their youngest little girl, couldn't have been more than 4, died of cold before they managed it. The room feels suddenly colder as his words sink in. With a fire bundle, he continues, they would have had flame in seconds. No matter the weather, no matter how wet the wood, the ember inside stays protected, stays dry. He places a hand on your shoulder. We don't just keep fire, boy. We keep people alive. Outside, the sun finally breaks over the horizon, casting long shadows through the workshop's small window. The travellers will be coming soon, Master Wulfik says, moving toward a large wooden chest in the corner. They'll need fresh bundles for their journey. He opens the chest, revealing dozens of leather pouches and small wooden containers. Each traveller gets what they need based on their journey. Short trip, small bundle, long journey. Multiple bundles to rotate. You move to help him, still marvelling at the system's elegance. No batteries to run out, no fuel to carry, just patient preservation of an existing flame. Some have special designs, the old man explains, showing you a bundle with a clever sliding cover over its air hole. This one lets the carrier control the burn rate. Open it more when you need it hotter, close it to conserve. And these, you ask, pointing to some strange dried mushrooms in a ceramic bowl. Ah, Master Wulfik's face lights up. The real treasure. Tinder fungus found only on certain birch trees. These can smoulder for extraordinary periods. He picks one up reverently. The record in this village is one that kept an ember alive for over 2 months. As the morning progresses, you help Master Wulfik prepare bundles for the day's travellers. Each one carefully crafted, each ember selected for its quality, each container designed for its specific purpose. Villagers begin to arrive as the sun climbs higher. A merchant heading to the next town, a shepherd taking his flock to higher pastures, a family travelling to visit relatives. The merchant approaches first, a heavy-set man with a face reddened by wind and sun. Ah, Wulfik, I'll need 3 for the journey to Eastwick, he says, already reaching for his coin purse. 3, Master Wulfik raises an eyebrow. It's only 2 days' journey, Edwin. The merchant shifts uncomfortably. The road's been wet, and after what happened to the Miller family, he doesn't finish the sentence. He doesn't need to. 3 it is. Master Wulfik nods, selecting appropriate bundles. 1 for your cart, 1 for your night fire, 1 for emergency. Rotate them as I showed you. The merchant hands over several coins, more than you'd expect for something as simple as fire. Your new apprentice, the merchant asks, nodding toward you. Started today, Master Wulfik says, still learning the value of what we do. The merchant fixes you with a serious stare. Last winter I was caught in a snowstorm near Westbrook. Horse went lame. Night falling, temperature dropping. Without my fire bundle, you'd be looking at a frozen corpse right now instead of my ugly face. He pats the leather pouch Master Wulfik hands him. Worth more than gold, these are. Throughout the morning, more villagers come for their fire bundles. Each has a story. Each treats the humble containers with surprising reverence. In the monastery, Master Wulfik tells you during a quiet moment, they maintain eternal flames. Fire that has burned continuously for generations, never extinguished, passed from one bundle to another in an unbroken chain for hundreds of years. You're struck by the thought, the same flame burning for centuries, ancestral fire linking past to present. Tonight, Master Wulfik says, as the day draws to a close, you'll learn to prepare the perfect ember. Not too hot, not too cool, the soul of the bundle. As you help close up the workshop, you realise something has fundamentally shifted in how you see the world. Fire isn't just something that exists when needed and disappears when not. It's a living resource, a companion that must be nurtured, protected, respected. "One last thing before you go," Master Wolfick says, reaching into his personal pouch. He pulls out a small wooden container beautifully carved with symbols you don't recognise. He hands it to you. Inside is a perfectly prepared fire bundle. Your first. "Never let your home fire go out again," he says quietly. "This one will last a week if you're careful. Bring it back when it weakens and I'll show you how to transfer the ember." You clutch the container carefully, feeling its slight warmth against your palm. Inside this humble reed is something precious. Not just heat or light, but security, survival, life itself. As you walk back down the hill toward your family's hut, the weight of the container in your hand feels significant. You're carrying more than fire. You're carrying an ancient technology, a forgotten wisdom. Unlike the flashlights with batteries that die, the lighters that run out of fuel, the matches that get wet, this simple system creates a closed loop, a perpetual resource that with care never needs a replacement. The genius isn't that it worked back then, it's that we've forgotten it now when we might need it most. In your warm, comfortable bed tonight, you don't have to worry about your fire going out. Your heating works automatically. Light comes at the flip of a switch. But somewhere in the back of your mind, a quiet voice might wonder, what would you do if those systems failed? How would you keep warm, keep fed, stay alive? The medieval firekeeper had an answer. Simple, reliable, tested through generations. Sometimes the older solutions are still the best ones. Your family's hut comes into view. Tonight, thanks to your new knowledge, the fire won't go out. Tomorrow, there will be warm embers waiting to greet the dawn. And as the weeks pass, you'll learn there are more forgotten systems. Equally ingenious, equally forgotten, that kept medieval people alive through challenges we can barely imagine. The fire bundle was just the beginning. The crowing of the rooster wakes you before dawn, though you hardly slept. Your mind kept circling back to what Master Wolfick had shown you. The elegant simplicity of the fire bundles, the reverence with which villagers treated them. You check your own bundle, the one the old man gave you, still warm to the touch. Following his instructions, you had kept it in a small clay pot near your sleeping mat, wrapped in wool to insulate it. Your brother watches, curious, as you carefully extract the ember and use it to kindle the morning fire. "No flint and steel today?" he asks, eyebrow raised. "Don't need it," you reply, feeling an unexpected pride as the kindling catches easily from your preserved ember. Within moments, flames dance in the hearth. No struggling with damp wood or failed sparks, just reliable fire exactly when needed. "The hedge wavers are coming today," your brother says, warming his hands by the newborn flames. "Father says we're to help." Your stomach tightens a little. The hedge weavers. Everyone knows their importance to the village, but their work is mysterious, secretive. "What about my training with Master Wolfick?" you ask. He's the one who requested you join them. Said something about you needing to understand all the village systems. After a quick breakfast of hard bread and thin ale, you make your way to the village edge. The morning mist still clings to the fields, but you can see a group of men and women gathering by the northern boundary, carrying an assortment of tools, billhooks, saws, large wooden mallets, coils of flexible willow branches. Master Wulfik is among them, talking with an imposing woman whose silver-streaked hair is braided tightly against her head. "Ah, there he is," Wulfik says as you approach. "Elric, this is Mistress Edith, Master of the Hedgeweavers." The woman studies you with sharp eyes. No warmth in her face, just assessment. "You've never helped with the living wool before?" she asks. "No, mistress, but you know its importance." You hesitate. Everyone knows the hedge wall surrounds the village, but beyond that, it keeps wild animals out. A ripple of laughter moves through the gathered workers. Mistress Edith doesn't smile. "It does a great deal more than that, boy. Come today. You learn what truly protects this village, and it's not the Lord's men or their steel." The group moves toward the northern edge of the village, where the massive hedgerow stands like a green fortress wall. You've seen it your entire life, of course, but never really looked at it. Now approaching with purpose, you're struck by its size and density. Easily 15 feet high in places so thick you can't see through it. "This section needs maintenance," Mistress Edith explains, pointing to an area where the growth seems particularly wild. "It was last laid 4 years ago." "All laid?" you ask. She hands you a pair of thick leather gloves. "Watch first, then you'll help." 2 men approach a young tree growing within the hedge, a hawthorn with a trunk about as thick as your wrist. Using a billhook, one man makes a deep cut into the trunk about 2 feet from the ground. Not enough to fell the tree, but enough to weaken it. "The cut must be precise," Mistress Edith explains. "Too deep and the tree dies. Too shallow and it won't bend properly." With the cut made, both men grasp the trunk and slowly, carefully bend it horizontal, parallel to the ground. You expect it to snap, but the partial cut allows it to bend without breaking completely. "This is hedge laying," she continues. "We partially cut the living trees and bend them horizontally. As they heal, they'll grow both upward and outward, creating a living wall that can't be easily cut or burned." You watch in fascination as the men secure the bent tree using wooden stakes. The hawthorn now forms a living barrier about waist high. "Your turn," Mistress Edith says, pointing to another young tree. Under her watchful eye you make your cut. Too shallow at first, and she has you deepen it slightly. The sensation of bending the living tree is strange. There's resistance, a tension that feels like the tree is fighting back until suddenly it gives way and lays horizontal. "Good," she nods. "Now you understand the basic technique, but this is just the beginning of what the living wool does for us." Throughout the morning, you work alongside the hedge weavers. It's harder labour than you expected, and your hands blister despite the gloves. But slowly you begin to see the genius of the system. "Notice what we plant where," Mistress Edith says during a brief rest. She points to different sections of the hedge. Hawthorn and blackthorn provide the structure with their thorns, creating an impenetrable barrier. She's right. The thorns on these trees are vicious, some nearly 2 inches long and sharp as needles. But look closer. What else do you see woven among them? You peer into the dense growth and begin to notice what you'd overlooked before. Apple and pear trees carefully grafted and woven into the structure. Wild plums, hazelnuts, berries of all kinds. The hedge feeds us, you realise aloud. Mistress Edith nods. A well-maintained hedge provides fruit from spring through autumn. During the famine 3 years ago, these berries kept children from starving. One of the older workers, a man with a heavily lined face, chimes in. "My grandfather said in the great hunger of his youth half the village survived on hedge fruit when the crops failed." "And look here." Mistress Edith guides you to another section. "Elder, willow, yarrow, comfrey." all with medicinal properties. So it's a living pharmacy too, you say, beginning to understand. Indeed, the same barrier that keeps wolves and raiders out also provides medicine, food, and materials. As the day progresses, you learn how different sections of the hedge serve different purposes. Near the livestock pens, the hedge is particularly dense to prevent predators from reaching the animals. Near the village's main path, there is a carefully disguised opening, a hedge port they call it, that can be quickly sealed in times of danger. Only villagers know about this entrance, Mistress Edith explains. If raiders come, they'll waste time searching for a way through while we seal this passage. You help as they demonstrate how bundles of blackthorn can be quickly positioned to close the gap, creating a barrier so thorny that no one would dare push through it. The lords in their stone keeps think walls must be dead to be strong, one of the older women says with a snort. Dead stone, dead wood. Our wall grows stronger every year instead of weaker. Some of these hedge are older than the villages they protect. Another adds, there's a section on the east side that stood for over 200 years, outlived the original village entirely. During the midday meal, bread, cheese and apples harvested directly from the hedge. Mistress Edith explains the yearly cycle of hedge maintenance. We always work in winter when the sap is down, she says. Cut and weave at the wrong time and you'll kill the living wall. Each section gets maintained every 4 to 6 years depending on growth. How long does it take to establish a new section, you ask? 7 years before it's truly formidable, but even a 3-year hedge will discourage casual trespasses. After eating, the work continues. You notice how birds flit in and out of the hedge continuously. Finches, thrushes, small wrens and larger fields. The birds are as important as the thorns, Mistress Edith tells you, following your gaze. They nest in the safety of the hedge, then feed on insects that would otherwise destroy our crops. You've never thought about it before, but it makes sense. The fields closest to the hedge always seem to have fewer pest problems. And look there. She points to a narrow trail along the hedge bottom. Fox runs. The hedge provides corridors for wildlife to move between woodlands. But wouldn't we want to keep foxes away from the village? She smiles for the first time. You'd think so, but foxes hunt the rats and mice that would otherwise overrun our grain stores. Everything has its place, its purpose. As the afternoon wears on, you help collect the cutings from the hedge maintenance. Nothing goes to waste. Straight branches are set aside for tool handles. Flexible willow and bramble are coiled for basket weaving. Even the smallest twigs are gathered for kindling. In spring, Mistress Edith explains, we'll harvest specific plants for dyes, walnuts for brown, elderberries for purple, W for blue. The more you learn, the more you realise that the simple hedge is actually an intricate multi-purpose system. Defence, food, medicine, tools, pest control, wildlife corridors, all from a living structure that strengthens rather than degrades over time. As the sun begins to set, Mistress Edith leads you to a section of hedge you haven't worked on yet. This is the oldest part of our wall, she says with reverence in her voice. Planted by my great-grandmother's grandmother, nearly 8 generations of protection. The hedge here towers nearly 20 feet high, with a trunk system so dense it resembles a solid wall of wood. The thorny exterior looks truly impenetrable. During the Great Raids 50 years ago, 3 villages in this valley were burned. Ours alone was spared. Raiders tried for 2 days to breach this wall, but couldn't get through. Eventually they left to find easier targets. You place your hand on the ancient hedge, feeling the rough bark, the solidity of generations of growth. It's like a castle wall, but alive. Better than a castle wall, she corrects. This repairs itself, grows stronger with time, not weaker, and no lord can tax us for its maintenance. That's when you notice something unusual. Symbols carved into some of the older trees within the hedge. Intricate patterns that clearly have meaning. What are these marks, you ask? Mistress Edith exchanges glances with the other hedge weavers. After a moment, she seems to make a decision. The hedge doesn't just protect our bodies, Elric. It protects our knowledge. She runs her fingers over one of the symbols. Each major plant in the hedge has a purpose. Some have many. These marks remind us of their properties, when to harvest them, how to prepare them. A living library. You murmur. Exactly. If soldiers come and burn our homes, if priests confiscate our books, if lords forbid our practices, the hedge remembers. The knowledge stays safe, hidden in plain sight. As twilight deepens, Master Wulfric rejoins your group, having spent the day working on another section of hedge. "Did you learn something today, apprentice?" he asks. "More than I expected," you admit. "I've lived with this hedge my entire life and never understood what it truly was." He nods, satisfied. The best protections are often the ones no one recognizes as protections. Remember that. Before you leave, Mistress Edith hands you a small bundle of hedge cutings. "Plant these along the north side of your family's hut," she instructs. "In 3 years, you'll have a small food hedge of your own. In 7, it will protect your home as effectively as any guard." You take the bundle carefully. Seeds and cutings of hawthorn, blackthorn, elder, hazel, and crabapple. The beginnings of your own living wall. "Thank you," you say, understanding this is more valuable than it appears. "One more thing before you go," she says, her voice lowering. "The great storm last autumn damaged the eastern section badly. We'll need to replant. Meet us there tomorrow at dawn. Bring a spade if you have one." You nod, honoured to be included in such important work. Walking home in the gathering darkness, your mind whirls with all you've learned. 2 days of apprenticeship have already revealed 2 interconnected survival systems. Your village relies on fire preservation and living fortifications, and yet neither would impress a modern observer. No complex machinery, no rare materials, just generations of accumulated wisdom, working with nature instead of against it. Your brother is waiting when you return home, curious about your day with the hedge weavers. "Did they show you the hawk's nest?" he asks as you warm yourself by the fire. "Still burning strong thanks to your morning ember. Hawk's nest. Number." "Why?" He grins. "There's a pair of hawks that nest in the tallest part of the southern hedge each year. The weavers protect them because they keep the pigeon population in check. The pigeons would destroy our seeds otherwise. Another layer of protection you hadn't even seen. You wonder how many more there are, how many systems working in harmony that you've never noticed." You place your bundle of hedge cutings carefully beside your sleeping mat, next to the clay pot holding your fire bundle. 2 forms of protection, 2 technologies more sophisticated than they appear. "Get some sleep," your brother advises. Dawn comes early for hedge weavers. As you drift towards sleep, you can't help but wonder what other forgotten knowledge awaits you tomorrow. The living fence wasn't primitive. It was the ultimate expression of working with nature instead of against it. Modern fences rust, decay, require constant maintenance, and eventually fail completely. But somewhere in England there are hedges still standing that were first laid by medieval hands, living walls that have outlasted empires. That's not primitive technology. That's genius. Dawn brings a thin, cold drizzle, the kind that soaks through clothes faster than a downpour. You join the hedgeweavers at the eastern boundary as promised, hood pulled against the weather, spade in hand. The damaged section is worse than you expected. A massive oak had fallen during the autumn storm, crushing nearly 30 feet of ancient hedger. We'll need to start fresh here, Mistress Edith says, surveying the damage with a frown. Full replanting. The work is grueling. Clearing the fallen tree, digging new trenches for saplings, planting in precise patterns that look chaotic to your untrained eye, but follow Mistress Edith's exacting specifications. Blackthorn on the outside, she instructs. Hawthorn behind, crabapple at 10-foot intervals, elder at the corners. By midday, your hands are blistered despite the gloves, your back aching from digging in the cold, wet soil. But there's satisfaction in the work, knowing you're rebuilding a protection that might stand for centuries. Elric! A voice calls from the village path. You look up to see your cousin Leaf, jogging toward you, out of breath. Your father sent me, he pants. There's smoke rising from the Ewood's barn. All able hands needed. Your heart sinks. Fire in the village is everyone's nightmare. Thatch burns like tinder, and a stray spark can destroy years of work in minutes. Go, Mistress Edith says immediately. We'll continue here. You drop your tools and run with Leaf back toward the village centre, expecting to see flames, hear shouts of panic. Instead, you find a small crowd gathered calmly around the Ewood's barn. Thick smoke rises from the roof vents, but there's no urgency in people's movements. Your father spots you and waves you over. Not a fire, he explains, seeing your confused expression. It's smoking day. The Awoods doing their winter preservation. They requested help. Relief washes over you, followed by curiosity. You've eaten smoked meat your entire life, but never participated in its making. Go in and see if they need an extra pair of hands, your father suggests. Good knowledge to have. You approach the heavy wooden door of the barn. When you pull it open, a wall of fragrant smoke billows out, making your eyes water. Through the haze you see Goodwife Awood, a stout woman known for her practical knowledge, directing several people hanging items from the barn's upper beams. Ah, another helper, she says, noticing you. Good, we need strong arms. Come in, come in. Stepping into the smoke barn is like entering another world. The light filters through the haze in strange patterns, creating an otherworldly glow. Your eyes sting at first, but you quickly adjust. What surprises you most is what's being smoked. You expected to see meat, hams, bacon, perhaps some fish, and yes, those are here hanging from the highest beams. But there's so much more. Take these up to the middle racks, Goodwife Allwood instructs, handing you several large cloth sacks. Not too high, mind you. That's for the meat only. The sacks are heavy, filled with what feels like grain. You raise your eyebrows in question. Barley, she confirms, and those over there are rye and wheat. The smoke keeps the weevils and moths away. You climb the wooden ladder to the middle level of the barn, where several horizontal poles create a series of racks. Following the instructions of another worker, you hang the sacks so they're fully exposed to the smoke, but not directly over the fire pits below. Why different heights? You ask the worker, a middle-aged man with a smoke-darkened face. Heat and smoke density, he explains. Meat needs the hottest smoke to kill rot. Grains need medium heat to drive off pests. Delicate things like herbs and medicines need the gentlest smoke. Looking up, You see the system now, a careful arrangement by height. Meat and fish at the top where smoke is hottest. Grain sacks in the middle, and at your eye level bundles of herbs, flowers, and what appear to be medicinal plants spread on wide, flat racks. Is this all from one family? You ask, surprised by the quantity. The man laughs. No, the whole village uses the Ewood smoke barn. They have the best setup, and good wife Ewood knows the smoke better than anyone. Each family brings their goods on their assigned day. Back on the ground floor, you report to Goodwife Wood for more instructions. What's burning? You ask, noticing multiple fire pits with different coloured smoke rising from each. She gives you an appraising look. You have an interest in the smoke craft. I'm learning the village systems, you explain. Master Wulfik's apprentice. Her expression changes to one of respect. Ah, the new keeper in training. Well, then you should understand what we're doing here. She gestures to the different fire pits. Each wood creates different smoke with different properties. She points to the pit with the whitest smoke. Apple wood there. Sweet smoke, good for pork and fowl, gives a golden colour. She moves to the next. Oak, strong smoke, best for beef and heartier foods. Preserves longest, and finally to a pit with bluish smoke. Juniper and pine creates a barrier that insects won't cross. We use it mainly for grains and textiles. I didn't know different woods made different smoke, you admit. Almost don't, she says with a hint of pride. They throw any wood on the fire and hope for the best, but there's knowledge in smoke. Old knowledge. For the next hour, you help carry items to their proper locations in the smoke hierarchy. It's exhausting work in the thick air, but fascinating. You see things you never expected to be smoked. Bundles of linen cloth, coils of rope, leather hides, even wooden tools. The rope and nets need smoke treatment before the fishing season. Goodwife Aylwood explains when she catches you looking curiously at a pile of fishing nets. Makes them last twice as long in water. And the cloth, you ask, nodding toward bundles of linen. Smoke makes it resist water and moths, not as well as proper oiling, but it helps, especially for work clothes. You're helping hang a rack of leather hides when a fit of coughing overcomes you. The smoke has finally penetrated your lungs enough to irritate them. Go outside and catch your breath. Goodwife Awood instructs. First-timers always need breaks. Grateful. You step outside into the cool air. Your clothes of smoke and you can taste it on your tongue, but the fresh air is a relief. Several others are also taking breaks, sitting on logs near the barn entrance. An older man with a beard streaked with grey makes room for you. First smoke day, he asks. You nod, still catching your breath. I remember my first, he says with a chuckle. Thought my lungs would never recover. You'll get used to it. So much more than just meat, you observe. That's what the southerners don't understand, the man says. They smoke only for flavour. We smoke for survival. He gestures toward the barn. A properly smoked grain sack will stay free of pests for years, not months. Smoked herbs keep their potency through the harshest winters. Some medicines actually become stronger after smoke exposure. How so? You ask, intrigued. Take willow bark, he says. Good for pain and fever, as you likely know, but smoke it with alderwood and its potency doubles. The old herbalist before Mistress Agnes discovered that by accident during a smoke day like this. Your break ends too quickly, and you return to the smoke-filled barn. This time, Goodwife Awood leads you to a small side room off the main smoking area. Here the air is clearer, though still pungent with smoke. An elderly woman sits at a table covered with small bundles of herbs and plants. "This is Mistress Agnes, our herbalist," Goodwife Awood introduces. She requested help with her medicines. The old woman barely glances up from her work, carefully wrapping herbs in linen before tying them with string. "You're Wulfric's new boy," she says. Not a question. "Yes, mistress." "Good. Sit. I'll show you something few understand." You obey, taking a seat across from her at the small table. Her fingers move with surprising dexterity for her age, sorting and bundling various dried plants you can't identify. Different herbs need different smoke, she explains without preamble. Some need the pine smoke to enhance their properties. Others need apple wood to maintain their gentleness. Others still need oak for longevity. She holds up a bundle of dark leaves. This is fever moss, useful for reducing heat in the body, but fresh. It's too strong, can cause visions confusion. She sets the bundle in a small basket separate from the others. This will go to the gentlest smoke, just enough to mellow its effects without reducing its healing power. For the next hour, you help Mistress Agnes prepare her medicinal herbs for smoking. Each has its specific needs, its particular placement within the smoke hierarchy. It's precise, almost ritualistic work. The monks claim all healing comes from prayer, she says after a long silence. But they still send for my smoked herbs when sickness comes to their doors. There's a hint of satisfaction in her voice. "Have you always been the village herbalist?" you ask. 30 years now? She nods. "Learned from my grandmother who learned from hers." The smoke knowledge goes back further than anyone remembers. Before the stone church, before the Lord's manor. She hands you a small cloth pouch filled with a pungent mixture. Smoke preservation isn't just for winter stores, boy. It's for knowledge itself. When the Big Abbey tried to burn our healing books during the last king's reign, we still had our smoked herbs. Our knowledge kept alive in practice, not just words. You're struck by the similarity to what Mistress Edith had said about the hedge. Another form of preservation that protected knowledge as much as physical resources. By late afternoon, the smoking is at its peak. The barn glows with an almost magical light as sunbeams pierce the thick haze. The 3 fire pits are carefully tended, different woods added in precise amounts to maintain the correct smoke quality. Goodwife Alewood leads you to a corner where several clay containers sit sealed with wax. The most valuable part, she says, tapping one of the containers, smoke ash. We collect it from each type of wood separately. The ash from applewood makes the best soap for delicate things. Oak ash makes lye for the strongest soap. Pine ash mixed with fat creates a salve for winter rashes and chilblains. You marvel at the completeness of the system. Nothing wasted, everything transformed. How long will all this stay in the smoke? You ask, gesturing to the hanging food and materials. Depends on what it is, she explains. Herbs might need only a day or 2, grains a week. Meats can hang for nearly a month, depending on size and how long we need them to last. She points to an especially large ham hanging from the highest beam. That one's for a mid-winter feast. It'll smoke for 3 weeks, then keep until winter's heart without spoiling. Your father finds you as the day's light begins to fade. Your eyes are red, your throat raw from the smoke, but your mind is alive with new understanding. "Learned something?" he asks as you walk home together. "More than I expected," you admit. "I thought smoking was just for flavour," he laughs. "That's what the rich lords think too. They smoke meat to make it taste better. We smoke to survive winter. At home, your mother has a bath waiting. A rare luxury, but necessary to remove the smoke smell saturating your clothes and hair." As you scrub, you reflect on the day's lessons. Modern people with refrigerators and chemicals might look at a smokehouse as primitive, but the smoke preservation system you witnessed was anything but simple. It was chemistry and timing, knowledge refined through generations of trial and error. It was alchemy, turning the perishable into the permanent using nothing but carefully controlled smoke. After bathing, you join your family for the evening meal. Your mother has prepared a stew featuring smoked venison from last season, still perfectly preserved despite being nearly 5 months old. The Ewoods finished their big smoking today, you tell her between bites. Goodwife Alwood showed me the different woods they use. Did she show you the smoke barrels for the beekeepers? Your mother asks. You shake your head, realizing there was yet another aspect you hadn't even seen. Sleep now. Let yourself sink deeper into that perfect relaxation. Your eyelids are heavy. So heavy it would take too much effort to open them now. Your limbs feel pleasantly weighted, impossible to move even if you wanted to, which you don't. You just want to drift all the way down into deep, restful sleep. That's it. Just let go completely. The day is done. The work is finished. Nothing more required of you now except to rest, to renew, to dream perhaps of different possibilities, different worlds. But for now, just sleep deep and peaceful, easy and calm. Sleep now. Sleep well, drifting deeper with each breath down and down into perfect, complete rest.